Hala Labaki, hi.
Hello Jihad.
كيفك?
ماشي الحال، أنت كيف؟
I'm very proud to have you today. Hala, to be fair, full disclosure, Hala is a friend.
Yes.
But also Hala is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Lebanon. You are the co-founder of Shahiya, which was sold to Cookpad sorry, a few years back. Tell us about Shahiya.
Okay, thank you for the intro, Jihad. Shahiya was a user-generated platform of recipes. It was targeted for the housewives in the Arab world, and it was the equivalent of allrecipe.com or marmiton.org in France. And the idea of launching Shahiya came out of a need in the market. We were three friends, and we were looking to. Some of us were living abroad, and we were looking to start a venture. And it was back in 2009, where the internet was not very struggling in the Arab world, and we couldn't find any good recipes online in Arabic for the Arab market. And we thought this is a great opportunity. The internet will develop. The food is central to the life of. Food is a central theme in Arabic societies. Women cook all day, not all day, but every day at least. And we thought this is a real opportunity. Nobody was tapping into it, and we jumped on it.
So when you created Shahiya, you were from day one focused on a certain market? You knew exactly which market you were tapping into?
Yes.
Which demographics also?
Yes. The market we were focused on, it was the Arab-speaking market as language. And then it was more, we focused it on GCC to start with, because we figured it's the richest market, quote unquote. But where we were not really focused as a product, it was on the offering. We had the offering of recipe exchange platform, we had a dietitian offering, and then a restaurant directory offering. This is one mistake we made as entrepreneurs, like doing too many offering. And then after we launched Shahiya, we started killing each vertical, and after a year, after post-launch, we were only focusing on recipe exchange.
But you knew very well who your audience was.
Yes, the audience were housewives that speaks Arabic and that cook on a daily basis.
How did you get, I mean, you being Lebanese, having lived abroad, and your co-founders also, how did you get into the mind of your users? I mean, what was
as you said, it was a struggle. Our typical user was a Saudi lady in her 20s, mid-20s. We were in our 30s, and we were not Saudis, and we've never been to Saudi, so it was a bit of a challenge here. But we did market research. We went on forums. We studied like the Saudi forums. We studied the way women, and back then the forums were really big. It was one of the place where you would find most Saudi women,
you would find
like conversations happening, etc. So women would disclose a lot of things. So we spent months studying these forums, understanding the terminology, because the terminology is different also from like literal Arabic, Lebanese Arabic, and Saudi Arabic. So we had to do market research.
No, I'm asking this, Hala, because as you know, we see a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs, yourself and myself, and a lot of times they don't know their customer. I'm always surprised by people who just don't know their customer. They haven't taken the time to understand the mind. I mean, you mentioned something I think critical, which is you went to the forums trying to understand how they speak,
yes.
You know, the logic behind it.
You're right. I do meet entrepreneurs also too who are not sure about who their main customer is, how they think, the psychology behind it, etc. I think maybe we were sensitive to this because of I had a background in marketing, so I was trained to do this. It's a training actually. Once you have it, you can do it easily.
It's a mindset also.
It's a mindset also. Yeah, you're right. And I think in any business you have to like your customers. You have to
important.
develop empathy with the customers to understand why they do the stuff they do, etc. For you to be able to push your product, your service, anything better, and to get to the customer. I think this is the basic.
So how did you go get these first customers? What was the process? How did you get these?
We launched our platform, and it's like community building. So you talk to some influencers. Back then, they were on forums. You present your platforms. You invite them to come add their recipe. Once they add a recipe, you push it on social media.
So customer acquisition was not based on ads initially?
Initially, for the first 3-4 months, no. And then we had the Ramadan season where we started some ads. But we did the ads after stress testing the platform. Let's put it this way. We didn't start spending money on our platform before we were sure the platform responded to the need of the customer. Because we did some adjustment, as you know, with a platform, you keep on doing adjustments, and this is the beauty of
That's also
of
important.
tech, yeah.
So just for me to understand, so you did your test before spending your cash.
Yeah, exactly. We did our test. We used this. We used a part of the cash to build the platform, etc. But yes, the marketing cash was spent after testing the
You
product.
shouldn't hurry into this. I mean,
No one should hurry into spending a lot of money on a product that's not tested. You can spend a bit of money, but you cannot spend big budgets on a product that you've tested only with your friends and family, especially if they're not the target audience. So this is a mistake.
But
also.
at what point did you sense? I mean, what made you sense that you're testing? I mean, what's the moment you said, "Let's go.
We can go."
This is where we can really
Actually, we got very early on. We were lucky. We got a few reinforcement from our users. So how did Shahiya work? You would come to Shahiya, you would register for free, and you would start either adding recipe or adding comment to a recipe. So engaging a bit on Shahiya. So we used to get sometimes messages. We have this story we tell all the time, because it was one of the very early on happy story we got. It was a Syrian lady living in KSA. She must have been in her 50s or early 60s, and she kept on adding these recipes. And one day, we got on one of her recipes a comment from her daughter who was living in Germany, and she wrote the comment in English. It was interesting, on a recipe written in Arabic, and she said, "I'm so happy because this website exists. Now I can have your recipe, Mom, anytime." And this is when, honestly, I think this was a turning point for all of us, because when you launch a product, you're not sure you will hit exactly the need of the customer. You want to answer a need, to solve a problem, but you're not sure your product is doing it. And when we got this testimonial, we thought, okay, that's it. We can go. No, we can. No.
We feel comfortable.
Yeah,
now.
we feel comfortable going. Yeah.
So you started getting these customers. How did you deal? I mean, I guess at that stage you hadn't raised funds yet, because we'll get to that part where you raise funds with MEVP.
Yeah.
How were
and
you?
we had a loan before with Kafalat.
Okay, so you started with the Kafalat.
So no,
loan.
we started we were self-funded for a couple of years, and then we had the Kafalat loan, which was a very important step in our development, because it allowed us also to test other things without diluting the capital. And then a year after the Kafalat loan, we raised seed money. I don't know what you call it, Series A seed money with MEVP, institutional investor. So
in that initial moment, before you got the loan, how were you handling the cash? I mean, what was the logic in which? Because
very
it's a major problem.
Of course, Cashflow is a problem of any company, and
so
it's a bigger problem.
So you had fancy offices with great chairs?
No, we had kind of a crappy office for a couple of years. I don't know if you visited back then.
I did.
Yeah, so it wasn't very nice, but actually that was not the best thing we did, because that would hurt our recruitment, because the office was really crappy, and we said, okay, no investment. We took the Jeff Bezos approach, that you would take a door and use it as a desk, etc. The really the bootstrap to the extreme. But then we discovered that this was hurting our recruitment, because people would come, they don't know us. But back then the startup were not very hot. Nobody knows anything about startup, so we looked like a shady company. So a year and a half into this type of crappy office, we decided to at least clean up the office, and we cleaned it up and spent a bit of money on it because we thought that was investment in human capital.
That's a very interesting.
We didn't get
insight.
we didn't get a very fancy office, but it was clean.
It's
nice,
important
happy.
to recruit.
It's very important
to
recruit good people who are comfortable being with you and who believe in your vision.
How are you paying these good people? Were you paying them cash or equity?
No cash. Nobody back then. Nobody was interested by equity. We tried equity for some like more senior position, but people didn't know us. The startup ecosystem didn't exist, and equity was like really very far-fetched, you know. So people would prefer cash. And all the people we recruited, the team, like the V1 of the team, V2, you know, because teams change over time. We used to pay like very fair salaries. That was also one point because we had to compensate for the fact that we were an unknown entity. So we had to take market price plus.
You advise entrepreneurs today. I mean, it's always a typical question. Should I pay fairly my recruit when my cash is very little, or do I try to save? I mean, your experience in building a successful company.
Our experience is you should pay fairly. And even if the employees and you think that the team member are really in sync with your vision, you should pay fairly and more, because it costs you so much to replace a good person, and you put so much investment into training and taking this person up to where you want to take her or him, that it's a big loss when you lose it. And eventually you will lose them. And it was my experience and the experience of other fellow entrepreneurs back then, 2010, that any good employee you would take in, train, after a couple of years, they would get triple your offer in ad agency, because digital was really at its nascency. And then you would come and this person would have like excellent skills and anyone would want to take them. And we had a few employees very good who were like swept away. Yeah. Not leaving because they don't like us, but leaving because I got their salary tripled. Tripled. We're talking, not better. Yeah, and we were paying market price, so they got like really, yeah. So it's key for me to have a good team and to keep it happy.
Create the right environment for them
the right
through
team.
the right offices. So Shahiya grows.
Yeah.
At what point, how many users do you start knocking on funds doors?
Actually, when we raised, I don't have the exact number, but I think more than 1.5 million, maybe, unique user per month. It was all organic traffic. And 1.5 million
unique visitors organically.
Yes, and we were leaders in KSA on the food segment, in KSA and in the Middle East, not in Egypt.
So you did all this before you
raising funds.
You got the funds.
But we were in a different place as an ecosystem, and it was very tough. Nowadays, entrepreneurs and we were able to sustain ourselves with our own cash. I know that nowadays entrepreneur would come and raise money at way earlier phase. It's a different way of doing it.
But you were profitable when you raised funds?
No, we were not profitable.
You were still losing money.
We were still losing money. Because you keep on reinvesting the money actually to grow. So, yeah, we were making money, but we were losing money. Yeah, we were not profitable. We started generated revenues, but we were not profitable.
And advertisement was still big. Was still small, or was it something growing in? I mean, what element in digital advertising do you think? What role did digital advertising play in the success of Shahiya? Or was it more organic and building these, in the forums?
It was more building the community. What made Shahiya successful is its community and its unique content that was timeless. So when you create content, for example, like beauty magazine, etc., it's not timeless because the fashion changes, etc. The trends change. The recipe is always the same. The recipe of your mom or from Jaddara will be always the same recipe. So the content was timeless, and the community was really sticky because once you find a website you like and that provides you with good recipe, and you find like-minded souls or people on the website to talk to, you stick.
So Shahiya for you and for your co-founders was first and foremost a community before being a product of recipes.
It It was both. It was a community revolving around cooking and the recipes.
Were you making it grow thinking, I mean, at what point did you realize, or not, maybe that, well, the money is in building a community, not in just having recipes?
It's a good question. I think down the line you realize that. At the beginning it was the KPI started changing. The KPI was how many recipe would you have, and this is a vanity KPI. We have 20,000 recipe, 40,000, etc. And then after a while is how many engaged user you have. So I think down the road we started more thinking into a community and a market than only recipes. But we never thought, okay, we have this community, let's sell her something else. No, we kept thinking we're a pure vertical. We'll focus on food, on cooking, and that's it.
Because I guess the temptation was there.
Of course, the temptation was there a lot of time, and we had discussions with my partners, and some of us were thinking, okay, we have this group of women, they're captive, they come back, why don't we sell them something else? And a lot of other competitors did that, and then we would debate for hours, and then we would come back, no, let's stay a pure vertical of food, and I think that was the right decision. Even though it was not at that point the easiest, yeah, because the ad budgets also were in the women's segment, were more in the women's segment, in the beauty segment, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously you could have made more money at that point.
At that point,
ultimately, yeah.
We would have diverted our audience and maybe lose it, because we were not this. That was not our core business.
So you were conscious that this was in a way your value proposition, I would say.
Yes, our value proposition was a community of like-minded cooks, home cooks, who would exchange in a very nice way around their daily cooking. And we were very clear about the daily cooking. We didn't want super fancy cooking. We wanted everyday cooking, and that was what was happening.
Yeah, that was your DNA.
That was our DNA.
Take me through the exit. So what happened? What's the story with the exit?
The story of the exit. We were raising our second round of funds. We had our first round, and we had a couple of offers for the second round, and then we heard of Cookpad. Cookpad is like the world leader for the same type of platform, user-generated recipes. They're a Japanese company listed in. There's a public company in Japan, and they've been doing this since 1997. Okay, and they had a very solid business model based on one side advertising, on the other side subscription. So we started reading in the news that Cookpad was going global. They were very focused on Japan, and around our exit, we started receiving press releases that they are buying company in the US, buying company in Europe, etc. And we thought, why not get into contact with these people and see if they're interested in any type? Back then, we thought maybe investment, strategic investment, etc. Instead of getting not dumb money, but like investor money, let's get a strategic partner. And through a friend who's a banker, we made ourselves visible to Cookpad. And as soon as they saw our one-pager about us, they got in touch with me on LinkedIn, and we started a conversation, then a Skype call, and then a Japanese team came to Beirut. It went very fast, actually. The first call was maybe in April. They came to Beirut in June, and we signed in November, actually. So it was really fast.
Wow, that's very fast.
They were really determined to grow. And we were a perfect fit because we were a pure.
You initiated the contact.
Yeah, we initiated in a way, we made ourselves visible. Yeah, we initiated the contact.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking this because, again, that's the goal of SmarTalk, is really give insights.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people don't know how to approach an exit.
Yeah.
It's a very complex part of a life of a...
Of course, and to tell you the truth, we didn't know. And I was lucky to get the help of a friend of mine who's a M&A banker. who's a friend of mine from HEC, the school I went to in France, a business school, and he was of extreme help in walking me through how M&A things happen. I called him and told him, "Do you know this company?" He told me, "Yes, I have access," and I wanted to contact them directly, and then he told me, "No, this is not the way it's done. You have to pitch them, etc." So I was walked through by friends about this thing. But you're right. You're right.
You looked for the support.
I looked for the support, yeah.
That's
and
important.
I was lucky to get it also, so yeah.
But luck, you know, you need to get the
Yes,
luck. You need to
you
knock
have
on
to
the
get-
door
yeah,
to get
exactly.
the luck.
Exactly.
The exit happens.
The exit happened.
How much can we ask how much was Shahiya sold
it's
for?
public. It's 13.5 million.
Okay, $13.5 million.
And back then we had a community of 2.7 million, maybe.
2.7 million unique users.
Unique users
per month.
Yeah.
Wow.
And more than half of them were from KSA. Like 1.5 from KSA, 1.6. Yeah. And it's been 3 years, so I don't have the numbers, but yeah, around those.
So now you're retired?
I'm not retired, no.
Hala is now an investor in many startups,
yeah,
and we'll
maybe,
discuss. We'll talk about that
yeah.
as we go. Hala, to go back to when you got the investor in, so that was MEVP.
Yes.
That joined. Was it MEVP the 331 part?
No, it was MEVP. I think either their first fund. I think.
Okay, which was not a 331.
No, not at
fund.
all.
So we're not going to ask you about
No,
331 investments. How did it go with? I mean, it's not specific to MEVP, but how did it go in terms of negotiating with an investor, and what advice would you give to people that negotiate? Because
back then, there were not as many VCs as there are today. I mean, there were like 2 VCs or 3, and MEVP was one of the very early one.
Yeah, there were 3 VCs at that time.
3 VCs at that time. The advice I would give today, and it's the same before, is that see as many VCs as you can, pitch to as many persons as you can, because pitching is a learning curve. You're not good at pitching from the first pitch. And even if you pitch and you get nothing, you learn a bit for the next pitch. It's really a learning curve on one side. On the other side, look for a VC that will add a bit of value, or at least will not create problems. And this shows from the beginning of the discussions.
How do you assess that?
If a VC is wants to control the way you manage your company, or is scrutinizes, for example, the type of salary you pay to your employees, etc., it feels as if the VC will be very hands-on. It's good for her if you have a strategic VC, it's good for him to be hands-on. But if you have only a financial VC, him being hands-on could hinder you and make you push you take the wrong decision, the decision that are compliant with what the VC wants and not what your company would need to grow. How do you? I think it's a case by case thing. I don't know. I cannot make a global rule.
I guess what the point is maybe is you were not approaching a VC in a sense begging the VC like many people are doing.
You know, when you're an entrepreneur, at some point you don't beg, but you're a bit desperate for money. So and the VC know this. And they play on it, of course. But also the VC need you, so you don't. It shouldn't be only you needing the VC. The VC also needs. If you are a good company, if you really have faith in what you're doing and you think you're onto something, all the entrepreneurs should be aware that the VC needs them too, because it's you need two to tango and to create an ecosystem. They need good company, and the good company need good financing. So it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street.
Did they harass you on the valuation?
Valuation negotiation is always difficult, especially if you don't have another offer, or if you really need the money, etc.
It's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation.
To put it gently.
And you learned from it. I think that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Hala, one interesting case I find in Shahiya is the fact that you were from the beginning 4 or 5 co-founders.
3. In the beginning, 3, and then you got someone on board.
And you got someone more. So you were 4 when you got the exit. And I'm talking here, having seen, knowing the founders and having seen the relationship amongst you. you're a very good example, I think. And how did you handle the inherent conflicts that happen among, because we see unfortunately, so many founders fight with each other, sue each other, kill companies because they just can't stand each other.
They cannot get along. We, as you can imagine, and as you know, actually, we used to fight a lot and to disagree on some things. What helped us, and I think your parents will always tell you, never start a company with your friends. It's a catastrophe. It's a recipe for disaster, etc. I would advise to start a company with good friends, because with good friends, at least you have a very key component of a partnership that is trust. And this is what makes people sue each other. But I think what was there from the beginning in our team of 3 was a trust. We were like 10-year-old friends. We knew each other from college. We've been through things together. So, and we knew that no one would backstab the other. And this brings a lot of peace. Let's put it quote unquote.
Of course, worried.
Yeah, you don't sleep worried. We disagreeing on strategies, disagreeing on how to do things, etc. It was our daily.
Did you set a mechanism to handle the conflicts?
You know,
how was it happening?
No, to be honest, we didn't set a mechanism, but after a while, we realized that we used some time to discuss things for a very long time, and it would take a lot of time. So we set a mechanism at least to agree to disagree. Okay, we don't agree, but together. But okay, we decided to this. Let's accept this, and let's do our best in this. It's not easy.
But did you vote amongst you?
No, not voting. No,
it was more
like
no,
it was more a compromise that you got. But I want to say something about the team. I totally agree with you. I see sometimes entrepreneurs, and I've seen since then some entrepreneurs who would like start a company by themselves, and they think they can make it. And even if they're very smart and very strong and very capable, I believe that you cannot grow a company alone, even if you are Superman, because it requires a lot of resilience. It requires a lot of different types of talent, and one person cannot have all this and cannot keep on pushing herself to like do it. You need the team. You need a team at least of 2, ideally 3, in my point of view. Yeah.
Well, on that matter, how did you handle the inherent moments of doubt, the stress? Because I mean that's part of the journey, but
actually in 2 different ways. Because we were more than one person. Whenever one person would be down, the other would pull us up. On one side we had this, and also we reached out to other entrepreneurs who were like more seasoned than us, older than us, and we used to go and talk to them and be very honest. And I remember one good friend of mine who's a great entrepreneur. We went with my co-founder Daniel, and we were very honest. We told him, we're tired, we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, what do you say? And he was really nice, and he gave us, and he said, don't give up, guys, it is part of the journey, etc. So it's very important to have people, as they are called in the jargon, mentors, but they don't need to have a tag.
Some mentoring in
someone that you would trust, that you would respect, and that you would look up to, and really share your issues with them. And they help. At every time, at every point, we had someone who would lift us up when we were like, all of us were down.
which happens.
Which happens, exactly.
Let's go now a bit on Hala, the investor. Can you tell us on about one or investment you've done, an interesting startup?
I'm not doing a lot of investment, and I'm keeping them a bit low profile. Low profile, so yeah.
So you prefer not to talk about it?
If that's possible. I think that investment, actually, I've discovered, I did a couple of investments, to be honest, and I think that it's a different, I think it's a different approach than being an entrepreneur to be an investor, and it requires different skills. And so of course, every successful entrepreneur wants to invest, and they do it, they invest. But I really think that there is an investor job, there is an entrepreneur job. Yeah,
that was what I wanted to get to. Yeah. I mean, the goal was to really try to understand, how you're living that new life because it's being on the other side of the fence, in a way. When you invest, are you tempted to manage the company? You're tempted
to. Actually, in my case, I only invest in company I'm really convinced by their strategy and by the team.
I hope so.
Yeah, of course. But also, I think where I see I can add something beyond money. because anyone can give money. But I think I only invest in company where I really have a value added either in the strategy, not management. No, management is not but at least the strategy or finding some problems, supporting the entrepreneur, etc. Different ways.
Will Hala Labaki create a new company?
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. Investors,
One
get
day,
ready.
yeah.
Hala, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jihad. Thanks a lot.